4 ways. How kindness will ruin your life. Marcus Aurelius, Stoicism. In the vast tapestry of human existence, kindness has long been heralded as the pinnacle of virtue, a beacon of hope in a world often shrouded in darkness. Yet, as we delve deeper into the complexities of life and the human psyche, we must confront a startling paradox. Can kindness, in its purest form, actually lead to our downfall? Today, we embark on a journey of philosophical exploration, guided by the wisdom of the great Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius, to uncover 4 ways in which unbridled kindness might, counterintuitively, ruin our lives. As we begin this exploration, I implore you to open your mind to possibilities that may challenge your deepest held beliefs about virtue and human interaction. For it is only by questioning our assumptions that we can hope to arrive at a higher truth. The first way in which kindness may lead us astray is through the erosion of our personal boundaries. In our eagerness to be kind, to help others, to alleviate suffering wherever we encounter it, we often find ourselves extending beyond our means, both emotionally and materially. We give and give until we find ourselves depleted, our own needs neglected in the service of others. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, warns us of this danger, albeit indirectly. He writes, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In this simple statement lies a profound truth. Our sphere of control is limited, and by constantly reaching beyond it in the name of kindness, we risk losing ourselves. But why do we do this? Why do we so willingly sacrifice our own well-being in the pursuit of kindness? I posit that it stems from a fundamental misunderstanding of what true kindness entails. We have been conditioned to believe that self-sacrifice is the highest form of virtue, that to put others before ourselves is always the right course of action. But in doing so, we neglect a crucial truth, that we cannot pour from an empty cup. Consider this. If we consistently prioritize the needs of others over our own to the point of exhaustion and burnout, are we truly being kind? Or are we, in fact, diminishing our capacity to affect positive change in the world? Are we not, in a sense, being unkind to ourselves and, by extension, to those who depend on us? This leads us to a deeper question. What is the true nature of kindness? Is it merely the act of giving, of self-sacrifice? Or is it something more nuanced, more balanced? Perhaps true kindness lies in finding the equilibrium between caring for others and caring for ourselves, in recognizing that our own well-being is not separate from the well-being of those around us, but intrinsically linked to it. As we ponder these questions, we must also consider the practical implications of this realization. How can we practice kindness in a way that does not deplete us, but rather enriches both ourselves and those around us? I propose that the answer lies in the cultivation of what we might call wise kindness, a form of compassion that is rooted in self-awareness and discernment. This wise kindness begins with the recognition of our own limits, both physical and emotional. It involves learning to say no when necessary, not out of selfishness, but out of a deep understanding that by maintaining our own well-being, we are better able to serve others in the long run. It requires us to set boundaries, to communicate our needs clearly, and to prioritize self-care not as an indulgence, but as a necessity. But how do we cultivate this wise kindness in a world that often equates self-care with selfishness? I believe it begins with a shift in perspective. We must learn to see ourselves not as separate from those we wish to help, but as an integral part of the interconnected web of life. When we care for ourselves, we are, in essence, caring for a part of the whole. Marcus Aurelius speaks to this interconnectedness when he says, "What injures the hive injures the bee." In this light, self-care becomes not just a personal responsibility, but a duty we owe to the collective. By maintaining our own well-being, we ensure that we remain strong enough to contribute positively to the world around us. As we practice this wise kindness, we may find that our acts of compassion become more sustainable, more impactful. Rather than burning ourselves out in a blaze of self-sacrificial kindness, we create a steady, enduring flame of compassion that can light the way for others without consuming us in the process. Yet, even as we strive for this balance, we must remain vigilant, for the path of wise kindness is not always clear, and the temptation to fall back into patterns of self-neglect in the name of virtue is ever present. We must continually question our motivations, examine our actions, and adjust our course as needed. As we conclude this first exploration of how kindness might ruin our lives, I leave you with a question to ponder. How can you practice kindness today in a way that honors both yourself and others? How can you extend compassion without compromising your own well-being? Remember, true kindness is not about martyrdom or self-destruction. It is about creating a sustainable, balanced approach to compassion that allows us to make a lasting positive impact on the world. As we move forward in our exploration, let us carry this understanding with us, using it as a foundation upon which to build an even deeper comprehension of the complex relationship between kindness and our own well-being. The shackles of benevolence, unmasking the tyranny of unrestrained compassion. As we delve deeper into our exploration of kindness and its potential to ruin our lives, we encounter the second paradoxical way in which this virtue can lead us astray: by fostering dependency and weakness in others. In our fervent desire to be kind, to help, to alleviate suffering, we may inadvertently rob others of the opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become stronger through overcoming their own challenges. Marcus Aurelius speaks to this when he says, "You have to assemble your life yourself, action by action." This wisdom reminds us that growth and strength come from facing and overcoming obstacles, not from having them removed by well-meaning others. Yet, how often do we, in the name of kindness, rush to solve problems for others, to smooth their path, to shield them from the very experiences that might lead to their growth and development? Consider the parent who, out of love and kindness, never allows their child to face disappointment or failure, or the friend who consistently bails out a companion from the consequences of their actions. In these scenarios, kindness becomes a double-edged sword, offering immediate relief, but potentially stunting long-term growth and resilience. We must ask ourselves, in our eagerness to be kind, are we sometimes denying others the opportunity to develop their own strength and resilience? Are we, perhaps unwittingly, creating a cycle of dependency that ultimately weakens rather than empowers? This is not to say that we should never offer assistance or support. Rather, it is a call for discernment, for wisdom in our acts of kindness. It is an invitation to consider whether our actions truly serve the long-term well-being of others, or merely provide short-term relief at the cost of long-term growth. But how do we strike this delicate balance? How can we offer support and kindness without undermining the strength and autonomy of those we seek to help? I propose that the answer lies in what we might call empowering kindness, a form of compassion that seeks to uplift and strengthen rather than to simply alleviate or rescue. This empowering kindness begins with the recognition that true growth often comes through struggle. It involves the courage to sometimes step back and allow others to face their challenges, offering support and encouragement rather than intervention. It requires us to trust in the inherent strength and resilience of those we care about, even when it pains us to see them struggle. Marcus Aurelius offers guidance here as well, reminding us, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the obstacles and challenges we face are not merely hindrances to be removed, but opportunities for growth and transformation. As we practice this empowering kindness, we might find ourselves shifting from a paradigm of doing for to one of doing with. Instead of swooping in to solve problems, we might ask, "How can I support you in finding your own solution?" Instead of offering immediate rescue, we might inquire, "What do you think you need to overcome this challenge?" This approach requires patience, restraint, and a deep trust in the capacity of others to navigate their own path. It may feel at times like we are being less kind, less helpful, but in reality, we are offering a deeper, more profound form of kindness, one that honors the autonomy and potential of those we seek to help. Yet, as we strive to practice this empowering kindness, we must also confront a challenging question. How do we discern when to step in and when to step back? How do we know when our help is truly needed and when it might be detrimental? I believe the answer lies in developing a keen sense of discernment, in learning to listen not just to the words of those around us, but to the underlying needs and potentials they express. It involves cultivating a deep empathy that allows us to truly understand the struggles of others, while also maintaining the clarity to see the bigger picture of their growth and development. This discernment also requires us to be honest with ourselves about our own motivations. Are we offering help out of a genuine desire to support the other person's growth? Or are we driven by our own need to feel useful, to alleviate our own discomfort at seeing someone struggle? Are we truly serving the highest good of the other person, or are we simply seeking to make ourselves feel better? As we grapple with these questions, we may find that our approach to kindness becomes more nuanced, more thoughtful. We may learn to offer support in ways that challenge and inspire rather than simply comfort and rescue. We may discover that sometimes the kindest thing we can do is to believe in someone's capacity to overcome their own challenges. But this path is not without its difficulties. It requires us to confront our own discomfort with seeing others struggle. It demands that we release our need for control, our desire to fix everything for those we care about. It calls us to a higher form of kindness, one that respects the journey of others even when that journey involves pain and difficulty. As we conclude this exploration of how kindness can foster dependency and weakness, I leave you with a profound question to ponder. How can you practice kindness today in a way that empowers rather than enables? How can you offer support that strengthens rather than weakens those around you? Remember, true kindness is not about creating dependency or shielding others from all discomfort. It is about supporting growth, fostering resilience, and honoring the inherent strength within each individual. As we move forward in our exploration, let us carry this understanding with us, using it to inform a more nuanced, more truly beneficial practice of kindness. The Siren's Song of Virtue, navigating the treacherous waters of excessive kindness. As we venture deeper into our exploration of kindness and its potential pitfalls, we come to the third way in which unbridled compassion may lead us astray. the cultivation of naivety and vulnerability to exploitation. In our eagerness to see the best in others, to offer trust and compassion without reservation, we may unwittingly expose ourselves to those who would take advantage of our good nature. Marcus Aurelius, in his timeless wisdom, cautions us, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth, by which no one was ever truly harmed." It is the person who continues in his self-deception and ignorance who is harmed. Yet in our pursuit of kindness, do we not sometimes willfully blind ourselves to the harsh realities of human nature? We must ask ourselves, in our desire to be kind, do we sometimes choose to ignore the red flags, the warning signs that not all individuals have our best interests at heart? Do we, in our commitment to compassion, sometimes silence our own intuition, our own self-protective instincts? Consider this. Kindness, in its purest form, is a beautiful and noble trait. It has the power to heal wounds, to bridge divides, to bring light to the darkest corners of human experience. But when kindness becomes naivety, when it leads us to consistently override our own judgment and boundaries, it ceases to be a virtue and becomes a vulnerability. I posit that true kindness, true compassion, must be tempered with wisdom and discernment. It must be balanced with a clear-eyed understanding of human nature in all its complexity, both its capacity for goodness and its potential for selfishness and manipulation. But how do we strike this balance? How do we remain open-hearted, compassionate, and kind while also protecting ourselves from those who would exploit our good nature? This is no easy task, for it requires us to hold two seemingly contradictory truths in tension: the inherent worth and potential goodness of every human being, and the reality that not everyone will act in accordance with that potential. Perhaps the answer lies in cultivating what we might call wise kindness, a form of compassion that is rooted in reality, that acknowledges the complexities of human nature, and that maintains healthy boundaries. This wise kindness does not naively trust everyone, but neither does it cynically distrust everyone. Instead, it observes, it discerns, it offers compassion judiciously and with awareness. Marcus Aurelius offers guidance here as well, reminding us, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In other words, we need not abandon our kindness in the face of others' unkindness, but we must learn to practice it with wisdom and self-protection. This wise kindness begins with self-awareness. It requires us to be honest with ourselves about our own vulnerabilities, our own tendencies to ignore red flags, or to seek validation through excessive giving. It demands that we cultivate a strong sense of self, one that is not dependent on the approval or reciprocation of others. But how do we develop this self-awareness? I propose that it starts with deep introspection. We must be willing to examine our patterns of behavior, to question our motivations, to confront the uncomfortable truths about why we sometimes allow ourselves to be taken advantage of in the name of kindness. This introspection might lead us to uncomfortable realizations. We might discover that our excessive kindness stems from a deep-seated need for approval or from unresolved wounds from our past. We might find that we use kindness as a shield, a way of avoiding conflict or of keeping others at arm's length. As we uncover these truths about ourselves, we can begin to make more conscious choices about how we express our kindness. We can learn to set boundaries, to say no when necessary, to offer compassion without compromising our own well-being. Yet, even as we strive for this balance, we must confront a deeper question. In our efforts to protect ourselves from exploitation, do we risk losing something essential about the nature of kindness itself? Does not true kindness, by its very nature, involve a degree of vulnerability, a willingness to risk being hurt or taken advantage of? I believe the answer lies in understanding that vulnerability and wisdom are not mutually exclusive. We can choose to be open-hearted, to offer kindness freely, while also maintaining a clear-eyed awareness of the realities of human nature. We can offer trust, but verify. We can extend compassion, but with healthy boundaries. This balanced approach to kindness requires practice and patience. It involves developing our intuition, learning to trust our gut feelings about people and situations. It demands that we become comfortable with discomfort, willing to have difficult conversations and to enforce our boundaries when necessary. But how do we cultivate this intuition? How do we learn to trust our instincts in a world that often encourages us to ignore them in the name of politeness or kindness? I propose that it begins with mindfulness, a practice of staying present and aware in our interactions with others. This mindfulness allows us to notice subtle cues, to pick up on inconsistencies between words and actions, to sense when something feels off. It enables us to respond to situations with clarity and wisdom, rather than reacting blindly out of a misguided sense of obligation to be kind at all costs. As we practice this mindful, discerning kindness, we may find that our relationships become more authentic, more balanced. We may discover that by protecting ourselves, by maintaining healthy boundaries, we are actually able to offer a deeper, more sustainable form of kindness to others. Yet, this path is not without its challenges. It requires us to be willing to disappoint others at times, to risk being seen as unkind when we enforce our boundaries. It demands that we confront our own fears, fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of not being seen as good or kind enough. As we conclude this exploration of how kindness can lead to naivety and exploitation, I leave you with a profound question to ponder. How can you practice kindness today in a way that honors both your compassionate nature and your need for self-protection? How can you extend trust and openness to others while maintaining healthy boundaries and discernment? Remember, true kindness is not about being a doormat or allowing others to take advantage of you. It is about offering compassion from a place of strength, wisdom, and self-respect. As we move forward in our exploration, let us carry this understanding with us, using it to inform a more balanced, more truly beneficial practice of kindness, the virtuous void, unmasking the self-destructive illusion of altruistic perfection. In our final exploration of how kindness may ruin our lives, we confront perhaps the most insidious danger, the loss of authenticity and the suppression of our true selves. In our zealous pursuit of kindness, we may find ourselves constructing a facade of perpetual niceness, smothering our genuine emotions and needs beneath a veneer of forced positivity and selflessness. Marcus Aurelius warns us, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Yet, in our quest to be unfailingly kind, do we not often distress ourselves by denying our authentic reactions and feelings? Consider the times we've swallowed our anger, buried our disappointment, or silenced our disagreement in the name of being kind. While there's virtue in self-control, there's also danger in perpetual self-denial. We risk becoming strangers to ourselves, disconnected from our true emotions and needs. This disconnection can lead to a profound inner conflict. Outwardly, we present a picture of perfect kindness and serenity, while inwardly, we seethe with unexpressed emotions and unmet needs. This dissonance can breed resentment, anxiety, and even depression. But how do we reconcile our desire to be kind with our need for authenticity? I propose that true kindness to ourselves and others lies not in the absence of negative emotions, but in how we choose to express and navigate them. Authentic kindness acknowledges the full spectrum of human emotion. It allows for anger, disappointment, and disagreement, but expresses these feelings with respect and consideration. It recognizes that honesty, even when uncomfortable, can be the kindest act of all. As we practice this authentic kindness, we may find that our relationships deepen, becoming more genuine and resilient. By allowing ourselves to be fully human, with all our flaws and complexities, we give others permission to do the same. Yet, this path is not without challenges. It requires courage to be vulnerable, to express our true feelings, to risk conflict or disapproval. It demands that we develop emotional intelligence, learning to express our needs and boundaries clearly and compassionately. As we conclude our exploration, I leave you with this question. How can you practice kindness today in a way that honors your authentic self? How can you extend compassion to others while remaining true to your own emotions and needs? Remember, true kindness is not about perfection or perpetual niceness. It's about showing up authentically, treating ourselves and others with compassion, even as we navigate the complexities of human emotion and interaction. In embracing this authentic kindness, we may find not the ruin of our lives, but their richest fulfillment.